Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are today. Today I have a very special guest. This is Dave Hampton with a bit about crypto, the Robo Recruiter. And today I have a special guest from a young place called YOP Finance, YOP Finance. His name is also Dave Burrells, right? And he's the Chief Operating Officer of this super interesting DeFi finance product company that's going to change the world in certain regards. So Dave, without further ado, thank you so much for being with me and being with us today. How's everything going for you?
It's going well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Likewise, man. Appreciate you being here. So why don't you? I know I gave a brief introduction, but tell us about yourself, introduce yourself. Tell us, maybe hopefully I didn't butcher the introduction in that regard, but introduce yourselves. And by all means, tell us how you got to be where you are today.
Sure. So my name is Dave Burrells. I'm as I said, the COO for YOP Finance. And YOP Finance is a DeFi section for Pluto Digital. We've been, the company's been around since January last year. And we've been running YOP since, we took the project on last September. So actually, I think it might be a year tomorrow.
Blimey. A year.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, man.
It is. It's the anniversary tomorrow, of us taking over YOP. It's been a hell of a year. I think we took it over. Bitcoin was probably 60-odd thousand or something, and it
50,000 before it went to 70 in November, right? So, or 69. Forgive me.
And then it's not there anymore. I think it's 18, 19 now. So it's been a heck of a
Staying at 19, 20, it's
it'll be completely different by the time we finish this podcast anyway. So so volatile, it's bonkers. But so we took over YOP Finance, and we've grown it into a platform that basically is providing yield on your cryptocurrency. So connect your wallet up and actually earn something on it. So a bit like you would if you were hoping to earn money in a bank. You can just put your money in there and earn interest on it while it's lent out. And that's exactly what we do with YOP. We take your crypto, lend it into different DAO lending pools, and then earn a yield on it. So it's basically doing what the banks are supposed to be doing, but better.
Now's a good time to do it too, right? Because interest rates are like 6%, 7%. I mean, the housing market crisis is about to occur yet again, right? I mean, it's like deja vu. I mean, 13 years later or whatever the case may be today. I mean, it's just absurd, man. Like it
shows that DeFi needs more adoption. Crypto needs more adoption because the same problems are still happening in the traditional finance world. So we clearly need to work harder in our DeFi world.
Yeah, and so in terms of YOP, so like let's just say that someone dare I say a normal consumer, right? Let's just say someone who owns a house, wife, 2 kids, in middle USA America or middle UK, right, kind of thing. I mean, if they're interested in I mean, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, it's not financial advice, but my thought would be like right now, since the dollar is surging, everyone else's currency is plunging, right? Strong dollar, but it's just so deja vu-ish. But if right now would be a time to like hold, right, the currency that you have. I mean that especially if you have the dollar, to hold that, right? And if you put it into like a CD, this would be a good, that's because the interest rates are going up, right? So now it's like where you hold and you save and you don't spend because inflation's been off the chains. And now they're trying to curve it, and so now it's gonna be worth more than it's been worth less until now. And so they come to you and they're like, all right, what how can you help me? Like what are the advantages of me coming to you guys, and how does that differ from like putting it into a CD per se? So that kind of thing. I mean, I'm trying. Yeah.
So I think the most difficult part of doing DeFi the proper way is that it's the self-custody piece. It's the fact that you need to have a MetaMask wallet or something that's compatible with Wallet Connect. And it doesn't matter how easy we make our product to use or appealing, or how good the returns are, that piece of the puzzle is a bit clunky at the moment in the crypto world, and it's something that's out of our control, because you need to have your own wallet, and it's been built in a way that it's friendly for developers. It's very much built for developers by developers, and when your average person that might struggle with a computer or something, something's breaking, they just want to turn it off and forget about it.
Yeah.
If you're at that level, you're going to struggle sometimes with a MetaMask wallet. But if you can get your head around having a MetaMask wallet, having crypto in it, easy. Because all you do is connect it to our product, and then you take, for example, the Bitcoin that's in it, click into our vault, deposit into the vault, and then that will then start earning yield. And the way it earns yield is we take it out of our smart contract. So the vault is a smart contract. We move it into a smart contract that is a lending contract. So what that means is it's a bit like a bank. A bank will take your money and it will pay you a small amount back, say 1%, probably 0.1%, maybe less. Right. And then what it does is it then lends that to people on credit cards, and it might charge them 17%. And the difference, the bank keeps. So this difference between, say, 1% and 17% is what the bank keeps. What happens in crypto is
never mind the fact that when you deposit money in the bank, they have the multiplier of 10, right? You give them $1, it's $10 to them, right? That's what they're
yes.
Right. Don't forget about that. I mean, that's nobody really talks about that part, right? So
yes, there is that. So we take it. We'll put it into this lending contract, and that will give you a return. Say it gives you 5%, and then that will be lent out at 6%. And then the difference is usually consumed in processing power and gas fees, that sort of thing. So no one's really taking a cut on that. And that's how you're able to get a better return when you're borrowing and lending crypto, and actually borrow at a lower rate as well.
So let's just say, I'll just put myself as an example, right? Let's just say I'm like, all right, I have a MetaMask wallet. I got Bitcoin, and I deposit, let's just say, a nominal amount of Bitcoin, which isn't nominal for Bitcoin, but we'll just say $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Okay. You take that $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. How long should I be advised to keep it in to earn a certain yield, that kind of thing? And what does that compound to over that time?
So the good thing is that you can move in and out whenever you want. There's no lock-in period.
There's no lock-in. Okay, all right, that's good. That's good.
But we only do a harvest on the APY from the smart contracts about once a month. So if you put it in and take it out the next day, let me explain this a bit.
I'm putting you on the spot, but I think this is good. I mean, I'm intrigued.
I agree. So there's two parts that make up what you get in your interest, in your yield. Okay. You get a base APY, and then you get a boosted APY. So let me just deal with the base APY first. The base APY is we take your Bitcoin, put it into the lending pool. That will then sit there, and then once a month we'll harvest the yield, harvest the return. So if you put it in and then take it straight back out, you probably won't get anything because you haven't been in there very long. If you leave it in there for a month.
We put it in there, we leave it in for a month. Okay. And then let's just say I'm impatient. I'm like, all right, I've waited a month. Let me see my return.
I want it. Yeah. So you do that and you'll get your base APY. So that could be, say, 8, 9, 10%.
Okay.
And that will be returned in Bitcoin. So you put your Bitcoin in, and then a month later you take out your Bitcoin and you've got 10% more.
Okay.
But there's a bonus to that. So that's your base APY. What we do is we boost that. So if you put in your Bitcoin and then take it straight back out, you might not have any Bitcoin because no harvest has happened, but you'll notice that there's some YOP tokens. And that's because we boost the APY with YOP tokens. So if you put it in, leave it for a month, take it out, you might get 10% on your Bitcoin, but then you'll get a further, say, 20% on YOP tokens. So you're going to get 35%, depending on how much you put in, you can get significant amounts back. But it does get even better because we've got a staking contract as well. So if you put your YOP into the staking contract, your YOP tokens into the staking contract, that will lock them in, but you can choose between 3 months and 5 years, so you don't have to lock it in forever.
Okay.
If you put YOP into that and you've got Bitcoin in the vault, it can boost the YOP tokens you're getting back. So you get even more of an APY. So you get base APY in the token denomination that you've put into the lending pool.
Okay.
You'll get a boost on top of that. And then if you're staking YOP in the separate staking contract, you get another boost on top of that. And some people have been saying, the thing is variable APYs are the important thing because it needs to be variable depending on liquidity, market conditions, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Because of that, it's sometimes hard to track. We say 35%. Some people have been reporting getting 72% APY on their returns.
Wow.
And the reason, and when I talk to people about that wow is usually the reaction. But the reason people
it's not too good to be true. So I mean, yeah, okay.
The bonkers thing is people do their research, but they look at us and go, well, you're brand new. So how can I trust you? You know, some of these platforms have been around, say brand new. Some of these platforms have been around 2 years. We've been around since May. You know, I said a year, but it's a year since we took the project on. We went live in February with our private launch, live in May with our public launch. So people look at us and go, you're new. How can I trust you? This is the problem. There's no regulation in this industry. So loads of people are getting scammed and rug pulls. So they worry about investing with us because they've not seen us we haven't been around the block long enough. And we sit there and go, we can give you 75%. And they go, yeah, don't trust you. No, please.
Well, so dare I ask this? I mean, forgive my curiosity, but this is kind of like one of the best and worst parts of me. Like I'm intrigued by a lot of things. So as an operational guy, a finance guy, like how do you guys, I'm just going to ask the stupid question. How do you guys make money off of this? Like what's the, and if I'm prying too much, just tell me, hey Dave, you're prying too much. But I'm super curious, like just from a business standpoint, like how are you guys, okay, I give you $1,000 of Bitcoin, you put it in, are you doing what you described earlier, which is like, all right, you're lending it out like a bank would out here. So you're getting kind of like it's like kind of like you're wholesaling my Bitcoin to a certain degree. Is that accurate? Am I on the right track?
So no, what we do is we'll take a percentage of the returns. So you earn 10%, we might take 1% and give you 9% back.
Gotcha.
So that's how you make money on it. So we just take a cut of the profit.
Understood. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So you're kind of like the credit card machines, right? You know, hey, we provide the tool, right? You swipe the credit card, we get 3% for using our tool, Mr. Businessman, and customer, that's free for you. It's your convenience, right? That's the cost of doing business with our machine. That's kind of the thing, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But even then, the returns are still bonkers. So.
Yeah, dude, I'm interested. Like I'm intrigued, and I as a customer am interested. So
but the good thing is, the idea behind this is, and this is how we want to make it sustainable. We have made it a sustainable model. Whereas you might get a lot of protocols that will create tokens and then give them all away, and then the people that go in early get rich, and the people that stick around aren't. What we've done is so the tokens, obviously there's a finite supply of YOP tokens.
Okay.
And we're giving these out to boost the returns people get. Now, as our TVL grows, we're getting profit. So the plan being that as our supply of YOP tokens that we're giving out goes down, and our profits are going up, we then start buying those tokens back from the market, so we can then keep giving that to boost the returns. So it's almost like a dividend in that respect. You know, you're buying back from the market in order to, and then you keep the supply going.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's intriguing.
The modeling is all work, all makes sense. So, and we've again, these aren't awkward questions. You aren't prying. We're trying to do something in DeFi that we don't think is being done well enough. We're trying to be transparent. We aren't trying to hide anything. We're not going to apologize for saying that this is how we make money. We're a business. We're trying to make money. We're making you more money.
Right. No, I get that. I mean, that's the whole, I mean, that's the thing is like, you're basically saying, hey, come partner up with us. You make money, we make money, right? You get lion's share, we get a little bit, right? If we get more of you guys getting the lion's share, then we get this. It's a scratch my back, scratch your back kind of situation. And you guys aren't like hiding that fact. And nor should you apologize or be apologetic or be ashamed of it. I mean, yeah, you are a business. I mean, and I want you to make money. Like, but I mean, the question as a customer always comes down to, why should I give you my money for you to do business, and me, what am I getting back in return? That's the transactional customer consumer type mentality, if you will, right? Some consumers or beyond.
I think it's important. If you look at Celsius, prime example was Celsius. People were piling their money and piling their crypto in, and they're getting given these great returns. Nobody asked how they were getting them. They just went, look, you're giving me a lot of money.
It has appeared, right? Yeah.
Yeah, feel happy. We sit there and we literally write blog posts about this. We've got analytics and dashboards showing you where we're putting your crypto to earn that money. So in theory, you could do this yourself. You wouldn't get the boost, and you'd have to do it all manually. Yeah. So we're taking away all the pain.
Yeah. So essentially, like what's the, like, it'd be, I mean, so this is a form of investing, and rather than giving it to like a wealth advisor who said, all right, give us, this how much money you want to get, and they put it in, and instead of them telling you, hey, and showing you, hey, this is where we put it in, this is what it's giving back, you kind of don't see that. But with you guys, you're seeing that, and it's right there. And if you want to be like, all right, I don't need you guys anymore, I can go just my own, which I'm sure happens, right? Then you're like, all right, go for it, but I mean, this is what you're giving up, right? And that's the trade-off, that kind of thing. So exactly. Yeah. And that's what it always comes down to, a trade-off. So tell me, I mean, have you guys signed up? Has this been fruitful? Have you guys signed up a lot of people, enterprises, companies? Like, how are you guys going B2B, B2C? How is this? What's your target audience or market?
So this is very much retail. We've spoken, before crypto winter kicked in, we were talking to a fair few institutions that were getting interested. I think, as we were saying earlier, the price of Bitcoin was turning everyone's head.
Right.
I think the funny thing was that when we were speaking to these institutions, there were a couple of people that were crypto native in the companies, and when we're having these meetings with all these guys in suits, and they're saying, they go, well, this is moving a lot quicker than we usually move with things. And I was like, okay, that's positive. I understand that. I've worked in big banks. I know things take the time, your due diligence, and make sure you're comfortable. And then the markets just went. So all the institutions we were talking to just went, oh, brilliant. Now we've not got a rush. We can take our time. But I get it. We were looking at different things. Again, regulation made it difficult. We were looking at things like ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, and we need. And people, there's the desperate Gemini and Grayscale. There's a lot of people and institutions that are trying to make these a legal thing, but they keep getting pushback. And the reason people want these products is because if you're working in a trader's not allowed to just get a wallet and buy Bitcoin. They can't take that risk, and they can't work with things that aren't regulated by the SEC. So they want standard regulated market products they're allowed to deal with. So that's why it's Bitcoin ETFs are such a need or a want in that area.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, are you guys working with like US based entities or US based consumers, or how is that?
I would love to. I've tried reaching out to. I'm working. There's the Digital Chamber of Commerce that we were working with in the US. There's the Crypto UK guys that do a similar thing in the UK. There's blockchain for Europe in the EU, and blockchain for Canada. So various different bodies that we're trying to work with to talk about how we can work better in their jurisdictions. But we keep hitting roadblocks. I think we're desperately trying to be, say, the good grown up in the room. We're desperately trying to do things the right way, and get regulated wherever we can, and make sure that we're not being seen as cowboys. We aren't trying to rug pull. We aren't trying to scam people. We want to do everything by the book. And prime example is that we had an office in Gibraltar, and Gibraltar is known for being crypto friendly. They've got a lot of DEXs out there, a lot of crypto companies. So we applied for a license, and everything was going brilliant. They're very welcoming to crypto companies. They really want to work with you and make it a success. They're not the country that says no. They're the one that says no, but how can we help you to make this work? And we got to the point where we were walking through our process, and they said, so you take this crypto and you put it into this DAO lending pool. Like, yeah. I'm like, so how do you make sure you know what else is in there? I was like, well, we can do KYC and AML. They're like, no, not what you've put in there, what other people have put in there. We're like, well, it's a DAO, it's unregulated. They're like, well, that's not safe. We can't give you a license. So the regulators just haven't caught up. Even if you try and be the best you can be, the regulators haven't caught up with the industry to work out how you're going to interact with the rest of the industry.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I mean, it's counterintuitive to them from the standpoint of like, and this one I just whittle it down to control and power, right? I mean, the problem with let's just call it a spade, a decentralized autonomous organization is there's no head. There's no person who takes the fall. There's no person who takes the lead. It's all by consensus, which ironically is what we call a democracy, right? Or a republic, right? I mean, isn't that what we're all supposed to be living in this world? Like,
last time I heard.
Like, and so I'm just, because that's the whole idea. A DAO, right? And they're reluctant to let go of those reins, and they're like, yeah, that's not safe. Well, it's because you guys aren't in control. That's why you're unwilling to surrender what you've already been accustomed, and that goes back to the absolute power corrupts absolutely. So they're used to, they're like, it's like they've been given that ID that they're like, yeah, I'm not giving up this ID, but it's just it's kind of addicting in that regard. That's my take on that.
Yeah. So, and there's different challenges everywhere. I mean, Gary Gensler, you gotta love him. I think he's
yeah,
I think
sure.
I think he's said that crypto is a security so many times that if he suddenly woke up one day and realized it's not, he wouldn't be able to say it's not, because he's backed himself into a corner.
Right.
I don't think you can. I don't believe that the fact that the Howey test and the current securities law is something that you can truly use against crypto. And a prime example is when he says the only crypto that's not a security is Bitcoin. Okay, fine. The definition of a security is that you expect it to earn you a higher return. So if I take Bitcoin, then fine, because it could go up and down. Fine, it's like whatever. It's like gold, it's a commodity, whatever. But if I then stake Bitcoin or lend it, surely then it's going to earn a yield and a return. It could be a security. So it's not black and white. That's the difference with between crypto and security. There's many different utilities for crypto that could classify it separately to what it might have been in one state. And I think that's the flexibility that needs to be built in.
Yeah, it's what's conceptually hard to understand about like being classifying the security versus like what's typically classified as security, right? Like stocks. Like you buy a stock, okay, what does that get you? Like you're like a 0.00% owner of company XYZ. Okay, what does that mean? Like, okay, you're buying it so that what they're doing produces value so that it goes up by holding that. That's really it. Like Bitcoin, as an example, I mean, Bitcoin, the IRS is classified as property, really. So by default, property is supposed to be the one asset class that will go up, because as property gets bought up and there's less of it, it produces a scarcity, right?
Inflation.
Right. Exactly. There's the and then the property is divisible to a certain degree. You can chop it up, but you got to like divide, but it's not portable, right? It's not. So that's the part of Bitcoin that's like, oh, it's portable. You can take it anywhere you want. But Bitcoin is it's the only true decentralized form of asset security, like whatever you want to call it. It's not a currency. I mean, even though I think that was the idea behind it. But it is, I mean, in terms of sound money, it hits all the definition of what sound money is, right? Scarcity, it's portable, it's divisible, right? I mean, it's decentralized. I mean, these are the four main characteristics, right? It's just, but it's an interesting. So I mean, man, it's an interesting dilemma, because they haven't, and I mean, like the gray hairs. They just don't know how to respond, man. That's like they're really stumped. That's what I think. I mean, as bright as they are, they're really stuck in their old way of thinking, and I think that's gonna. So I'm not trying to be more, but so they die. Yeah.
The prime example, you just said it, that it was originally seen as a form of cash, and even in crypto, you've got Roger Ver going, well, it's not designed, it's too slow for what it was designed for. So I'm going to make Bitcoin cash, and that's going to be cash. And so even in crypto, we're there's factions and fighting and different things going off in different directions. Yeah. And yet, the SEC come along and go, it's all one thing. You're like, even we don't agree. It's the same within our little bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
How can you just come along and go?
Yeah, you can't just say like from high up. It's like defined as this. You don't know what you're talking about. Like that's the thing. It's like, right? And so I mean, so Dave, I mean, let's just. I won't say we'll get into all of it, but let's just talk about like the elephant in the room in terms of DeFi and how it came to be, right? I mean, and let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's do a little. I'm not a history teacher. I used to be an English teacher, but let's just go back to my experience to 08. Okay, in 08, 07, 06, 07, 08, myself, I was going to school at NYU, getting a master's degree in forensic psychology, and I was literally, what I remember viscerally is I was at the gym at NYU's gym, on TV, and I'm talking about like the banks, defaulting, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm glad I'm in school. I don't have to worry about the job, but B, how are they letting this happen? Like I mean, I'm 41, so that's 13 years ago. So I'm 29. At 29, I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, this isn't right. You guys knew what you were doing. You did it anyways. And now you're saying, yeah, we can't let them fail because, and I'm probably grossly oversimplifying this. I mean, so forgive me for that. But now we're saying, yeah, we gotta give them money so that they don't fail, because this could implode the entire financial system. And I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking to myself, let it. Like, we need to restart. We need to reboot. We need this isn't. If this is the way it's culminated, then you guys have been screwing up for 100 years doing it this way, or whatever. I mean, this is so. I mean, what's your and I'll leave you with this in terms of your point to take it on is that's what I think was the starting point of DeFi. I mean, it's like Bitcoin was the white paper started, like it was written and published in 08, right? That's when it started coming about, and then 5 years later, it's really now people talking about Bitcoin, first transaction, et cetera. But that's where I think this idea of DeFi started, because it was basically like a revolution or an anti central a central finance system. I mean, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so I was lucky in that I was working at JP Morgan when it was all going on. So everything else is kind of falling around, hitting the ground.
Okay.
And Jamie Dimon's just hoovering up everything left, right, and center. We'll have that for $1, that for $1.
Of course.
Which I felt a bit sorry for them later on when they go, right, and now we're going to sue that company, but they don't exist. You bought them, so now we're suing you. Like, wait a minute, you told me to buy them. So apart from that bit, it was a mess. It was a complete mess. And as you say, so September 2008, I think it was, where a lot of the companies were started getting bailouts.
Yeah.
End of October 2008, this white paper from some anonymous Satoshi turns up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then January 2009, I think it was, that Bitcoin came into being and was going to revolutionize money. You can't print anymore. It solved the double spend problem. All these challenges of virtual currencies that have been tried in the past. And I think unless you were a hardcore believer, it was just laughed at. I don't think people cared about it. I remember finding out about it myself in 2012, and I just couldn't get my head around it. It was this thing that you could buy, but you couldn't sell, or
you didn't want to sell it. Like you can buy it, you don't want to sell it, but you don't want to use it. But it's but I'm like, what? Then why? My thought on Bitcoin at that, when I first, I'm like, but you're buying Bitcoin with a currency, and you're exchanging, and then you're saying that it's going to be worth more, it's better than this, but you're using this to buy that. It just, to me, the trade, I'm like, wait, but you're trading this for that, and you're saying this is better. I'm like, how is that? I mean, with gold, you buy a piece of gold and it's gold, right? It's implicit. People already believe that it's scarce, right? People already believe it's valuable, right? I mean, it's precious. Right? That was my thing. I couldn't get around that, right? And then
it's not real. How's that work?
It's where is it? Where is it? Well, it's on your wallet. What are you talking about? I mean,
it's when they started talking about mining, and you're like, yeah, you mine it. I was just like, okay, you've lost me now.
I know, right? And then well, think about how gold is mined. I'm like, yeah, they have diggers, they have this,
or whatever.
Well, they do hashing our computer. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who does? So, I mean,
but that wasn't the bit that really blew my mind. I mean, it confused the hell out of me.
Yes,
but it was a couple of years later, because you had a few, forks that jumped off of Bitcoin, and people were trying to work out the next thing to do and the next thing to do. And every time a new blockchain was created, the use case almost immediately went out the window, because another one was created that was doing that plus. And then Vitalik was watching all this and said, well, wait a minute. Why couldn't I just, instead of building the apps, why don't I just build the phone? And then people can build the apps on my blockchain. I haven't got, why build a blockchain that does it all? Well, I can just build a blockchain and let people program on it.
Yeah.
And then once Ethereum came, it all suddenly made sense. You could see the use case for Ethereum versus the use case for blockchain. So for Bitcoin was just, and all of a sudden that was just an explosion of growth, and the ability to program a smart contract, an infallible smart contract, that you suddenly knew you could take humans out of the loop. I mean, so when I started at JP Morgan, I had to get out of bed at 5 a.m, go into work and process these trades, and sometimes there were loads, sometimes there were none, but you had to be there. And I got so fed up, I said, this has got to change. No, it's always been like this, always will. Typical bank answer. And I was like, right, well, in that case, I'm up for the challenge. So I taught myself to code, and I automated it. But standard just building code, we automated it, but we still had to check the results. You knew that if you built a contract on Ethereum and did it properly, you didn't need to check the results, because it was on the chain. It was just locked in.
There it is. Yeah.
Nothing's going to change and break it. Once it's working, it works.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of it. And then suddenly seeing the real life applications of it suddenly kicking in. The example I first was given were, we talk about farmers in Africa that couldn't afford insurance because it was just, it was too costly. There was too much human overhead. You suddenly put a smart contract in there with some oracles and APIs that will say, right, if it doesn't rain for 7 days, the smart contract will be able to tell you that from an API. The contract kicks in, pays out, done. No humans in the loop. Like suddenly insurance costs come way down,
Right.
and all these farmers can suddenly actually buy insurance. And then people say, there's no use for crypto. You're creating your own problems to solve. It's like, no, there's so many problems out there that can be solved.
Yeah. I mean, just think about like transacting on like a house purchase, right? You don't need the paper, the person writing up. I mean, right? There's a smart contract right there. Boom, call it an NFT, whatever. But that's what it represents digitally. That's what you need. You just sell it. Okay, boom, just transfers over here to that. Right? Money comes in the bank. Boom, done. Right? I mean, that you don't need any. Like that's what we're trending towards. I mean,
don't get me wrong. DeFi and crypto are very good at creating their own problems. But that doesn't mean that it's a useless technology. I mean, there are you start going, well, we've got. I mean, it's the best story ever. Is we've created a blockchain, and there's a finite amount of Bitcoin on it, so there'll never be any more. So you can't create. It's done. Double spend, no problem, perfect. But what if I create a second blockchain or a third blockchain? You're like, you've ruined the point. There was supposed to be one, and then we go, okay, it's okay. No, I've got that. Let's think on a bridge.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty. I think that's the beauty of humanity, man. And like, it's just the creativity that comes about from like. I mean, there's. I mean, think about it like this. I mean, I've heard this analogy before, but think about when flight was invented, right? Like we're talking like 1920, right? We're talking 100 years ago when flight was literally invented, right? And look where it's gone from like now you go from like a two propeller plane with one person in it or with two people in it to now you have like Emirates, like you got a bar on the plane. You got like I mean it's like you're traveling in like a mansion across the sea. That's like I mean this is where it's gone. The evolution of it, right? I mean. So I think that's, I mean, unfortunately, you and I won't be around in 100 years unless we find like the fountain of youth or something like that. It's just we're at least 10 years in, and I think the next 40, 50 years are going to be really great. I plan on living the 40 years. So
yeah, I think people look for problems though. It's like when the motor car was invented. People complained that they broke down or they weren't as, you couldn't go as far as you could on a horse. It's like, yeah, okay, that's a current limitation, like the transaction speed on a blockchain.
Right.
But there's so many other problems it solves. That
now you don't have to worry about the horse dying or like, the Me Too tire. Like now you can go faster, right? It's more, I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's the problems like, yeah, they came about, but then it's like, all right, well, how do we fix that? And then it just evolved. That's evolution, right? Isn't that like that's like, going from Neanderthals to like, human, like, it's just like, or to who we are today is man, right? It's homo sapien.
Something I'm keen on at the moment is, and I'm just come back from holiday. So, you sit there, you think about the world and all its problems and everything kind of slows down for a minute. And I've suddenly realized the reason I got into blockchain was because the banks drove me insane. I was doing automation and then we looked at how we could automate it further and could we replace Swift with a blockchain? It was never going to happen then. Luckily, it's being looked at now. But if you take it back to first principles and we go, right, let's just, instead of creating, we have got a lot of problems, but it's a lot of innovation and disruption happening. If we take it back to what the problems in banking that wound me up were, client onboarding, KYC, things like that. Yeah. Okay, if we started using NFTs to hold personal data, only the pieces of data that are actually needed could be released. So brilliant. Right. We can also ensure that that NFT it's non-fungible. It's in the name, so we know it can be copied. So we know that that's legitimate data. So we haven't got to sit there and go, okay, I need 1,000 people to verify this.
Right.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah. Secondly, you've got 2 days for a bloody trade to get settled. Are you kidding me? And so we're sitting there waiting for all this stuff. Put it on a blockchain.
Yeah, or just depositing of money, right? Like when you deposit money, you got to wait 3 days. Like, what? No, it's there. Like, what are you talking about? I physically went and put it in. I should be able to, like that. I was like, as a teenager, I was like, wait, what are you talking about? I just want my money. Like, I just put money in. Like, oh, you got to wait for it to. I'm like, no, you have it. It's right there.
There.
Like, yeah. It's like, no. I'm like, what? Oh. Yeah. So,
but then there's the endless amounts of processing and paper that kept being moved around the office and the operational overhead. You're sitting there going, I used to work, my little floor had 200 people on it moving pieces of paper around. I want to create a company, right? I want to create a DeFi company. If it's got 200 people working on it, I want them writing smart contracts. So if I get a new client, I don't have to hire a new team because I've got a crappy, unscalable operation. Right. I just go deploy the smart contracts for that area.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So are you guys? So I mean, are you guys growing growth mode? Are you guys like hiring any right now, or how's that going for you? Are you guys kind of like waiting for the market to kind of steady, or what are your thoughts on that?
So we've got a bit of both in the DeFi area. It's very much building, looking at what we've got, seeing how we can push, because we need to see this winter out and really start to see how we can grow. And as I was saying before the winter, we had a lot of interest in institutions and potentially looking at ETFs and other products that that noise has gone quiet. But one of the exciting areas that we're looking at the moment, and I think we're really ahead of the game on this, was as far as you can be, is we're looking at metaverse gaming. And if you look at a lot of the crypto games that are out there at the moment, they're basically glorified DeFi. They're really 1980s video games, really crap. You're just doing DeFi. But what we're doing is we've got, right, we want to do a AAA game. So you're talking about your Gran Turismos, your top level games, and it takes a long time to do that, but we've started building that now with an aim to build it over 3 years. Depending on funding, we can reduce that time down by adding more resource. So we've got that going right now. Now, the beauty I see in the gaming part is if you talk to people in crypto, as I was saying earlier about DeFi, the most difficult part I see is getting people to trust it enough to part with their money. So in DeFi, they're like, well, I could buy it, but it might go down, it might go up, or it might get hacked or whatever. In gaming, in just traditional gaming, people have already made this conscious decision. They're buying a game, and then they buy all these skins and upgrades, and they're spending all that money already. Yeah. So to then say to them, okay, if what you buy in game is now an NFT, and you could trade it or sell it, worst case scenario, it goes to zero and you're in exactly the same position you're in now. But it might go up in value, it might stay at the same, whatever, you can sell it. So when you go and play another game or the next version, you're not just going, all that money I've invested in that ecosystem is just gone and written off. We can take it with you. The challenge is going to be ensuring you're creating the AAA game experience, because otherwise the gamers will just go, I'm happy to waste that money. I want the experience of that game.
They like the game,
provide that. Why am I bothering? So, and the game itself, Resurgence, I'm loving it. The storyline is epic. It's 10 years in the future. We've got this Elon Musk character that's going to send everyone to Mars, but the world's just going to crap. There's another COVID, there's, global warming, everything's just going wrong. And this guy's gone, right, I'm not getting you to Mars, but what I'll do is I'll stick you in these cryopods and we'll just wait it out. So the people that have bought these Gen Zero NFTs, they're going to get in these cryopods. They'll wait it out. They wake up 1,000 years later, and the Earth's been taken back by nature, and you've got to rebuild the Earth into your communities and take it on. But there's lots of twists, because obviously 1,000 years, there's lots of different animals and things like that, and ecosystems going on, and so it's really interesting. And I think that what I love about the way the game is being developed is you look at a lot of traditional games and it's a case of we're going to start building it and we release it in 2 or 3 years. We are releasing NFTs in different parts of the story over the development cycle of the game. So you can build the community now and really get the interaction and the storyline going with different things that are going on. and then the full game gets released, and then it's just going crazy. And some of the ideas are just the characters and the story writing. It's so, like I said, I'm a finance guy. Let's face it, but I haven't played a computer game since FIFA 96.
Oh yeah.
But watching these guys and what they do, suddenly I'm really getting interested in gaming. It's something that the creativity tied in with the crypto ecosystem is brilliant. It looks like it's the next logical thing in crypto. It's like I said, the ecosystem of gaming is just, it's set up for NFTs, and I think if we can grasp that, provide that AAA quality game, I think it's going to be brilliant. And you've got to get ahead of it now. If you start building when gaming is the crypto thing, you're screwed, because it takes years to develop that quality of a game. You can't just knock it out in a garage over the weekend.
Yeah.
So, I think we're making it an early bet, but I think it's a good one.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. How do people get a hold of you or your team? Drop some information on that, and then especially, like, I mean, before you do that, one question? I'm a U.S. citizen trying to drop some Bitcoin to get some yield. Am I able to do that with you guys?
You can, but you need to use a certain tunnel that begins with a V.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But
you heard that, guys. Okay. So
it's definitely possible. Just don't tell Gary.
Okay. All right. So Dave Burrells. So how do people get a hold of you?
So I'm on Twitter. D Burrells is the best way to get hold of me. And our website is YOP.finance.
YOP.finance. That's YOP.finance. That's Dave. And then Burrells is BURRELLS. You can also find them on LinkedIn as well. All right. For a bit about crypto, this is Dave Hampton, Robo Recruiter. Thank you so much. Eternally grateful here. Again, another great episode. Dave, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it. Looking forward to having you back.
Thank you.